Yes, welcome to the after show. All right, the fellas is back. We only on for a little bit, so make the most out of the situation. Now, nonetheless, now this topic tonight is from Headlocks to Amigos. All right, so um, just in case you don't know, me and Random Thoughts, the illustrious Random Thoughts, started a podcast about almost 4 years ago. 4 years, and with another person.
Nigga, you started it. I ain't started.
Okay, yes, but I said we started together. We
You
started
you
together.
you started the podcast,
Yes,
and then you asked a friend, and then the friend brought a friend. I was up the plus one, brought a plus one.
Oh,
yes,
by the way,
and
I don't know. Y'all
And
should
I
get
was a
the
guest one.
StreamYard app.
Hmm?
I'm doing this off the StreamYard app. I think this is a way
that's
better.
fine. So, Random, you want to talk about the story of the journey?
Oh, okay. Well, I could just speak briefly. Well, try to speak briefly on it. At about, I think it was around WrestleMania that year. When was it the pandemic still, or it was when they were
Pandemic.
going?
It was
They
pandemic.
were going into the live audience. I'm not sure, but it was the pandemic, and I was approached from a former friend who was like, "Hey, we're going to start this wrestling podcast." I have been fan of a lot of
What was the
wrestling
name of that
podcasts.
podcast?
It's
Headlock.
called we're gonna get to how we came to the name.
Yeah.
But we was asked to do the podcast, and I was like, sure, I already, do podcasts, but I would love to be able to talk about the professional wrestling, because professional wrestling is like to me, it's like our sport, it's my sport. So I love basketball, I love football, I'm even into the Premier League. But now newly into the Premier League. So I was asked to do it, and we had a production call. It was originally four of us. It was Mash Out's cousin Maury, right?
Mhm.
Mash Out. It was the other individual, and then it was me. We kind of chop it up like how we normally chop it up on our production meeting, asking different questions about people like the likes of Ric Flair, what we thought of Lita, like just to pick people's mind on what it is that, where we was wrestling style. So from there, we started Headlocks and Chair Shots. I think we started, was it StreamYard or Zoom?
Zoom.
We were on Zoom. It was the pandemic. Everybody was using Zoom. So we said, what the hell? Let's make the most of it. The first week, Maury unfortunately couldn't make it. So the show went from a 4-man show to a 3-man show. And from there, we started doing Zoom. And when things started opening up a little bit more, we went to recording in studio where we used to record at the Brooklyn Pod studio. And where is that? What part of Brooklyn is that
Park
again?
Slope.
And Park Slope. And during that journey, I hadn't known that. Well, I had knowledge that Mash Out and the other individual were really, really, they were close friends, and they worked at the radio station. I don't know if you want to reveal this, Mash Out, that you owned. You were the CEO of the radio station. It was Impact Radio, that you started and founded, and they had a history. That history then led to a bit of animosity, which led to the demise of Headlocks and Chair Shots, which was the name.
It did.
It had to the demise. Part of what I won't go with the ins and outs. Dark Side of the Ring will be premiering very soon. And part of what they'll be doing is something called Black Saturday. We have our own version of what took place on Black Saturday, where something went from a work became a shoot real quickly. Something went from us being on air and just cracking jokes and having fun to two heated heads meeting. And when two hot heads meet, it's just a recipe for a combustible element. So one of the hot heads we have right on the line right now.
The mega powers implode.
Yeah, right. Right. It was exactly like that. I don't know if it was over Elizabeth though, but one of the Hulk Hogan is still here with us today.
Oh shit!
Smash Out.
Oh shit!
You wouldn't be the Hulk Hogan in that situation. But
No.
Mash Out, tell us your perspective. How was it when you wanted to start this podcast and talk about the transition into Black Saturday? Because this story is not just about me and Mash Out. This is about the journey between going from Headlocks to Amigos. So tell us your perspective, Mashup.
So you were absolutely correct. We agreed to the podcast, and because me and said person that shall remain nameless, uh, had a relationship, in the day, and not. I mean, it was a work relationship, of course, and at Impact Radio. But that relationship ended very poorly back then, right? And then we didn't speak for years. And what I ended up one day, having a conversation with the person, mending fences as I like to do, and clearly the fences were not mended. Right? They weren't mended. And what happened was I didn't know this. We decided to start the wrestling podcast together. And then he brought random thought in. I was going to bring my ring in and stuff like that. And the show went from a perspective where everyone is their own perspective to a Skip and Shannon version of the show, right? Where Brandon was the middle person. Brandon played the role of the one that was just throwing the topic out, and then it was this the entire time, right? Until we got to where we needed to get. Because people got confused and thought the show was called the USA Network where characters are welcome. So, uh, um, and at which point, the person went from a work to a shoot, during their responses and things like that, and then it started getting um, personal, so to speak, with gigs and things like that. So that it led to our infamous Black Saturday.
Yes.
Okay, so Black Saturday um, happened because said person decided to cut my mic off, right,
Mhm.
when I was trying to give my point, and they were they walked off the show, and all type of stuff happened that day.
Well,
Uh,
you technically walked off first
I
to
walked
avoid the
off.
situation.
No. I walked off after the show officially ended.
Oh,
Okay,
right.
right. Remember, the person who shall remain nameless
Hmm.
decided that they were going to, lay on the sofa during the show.
Right.
And so when the
They was in
show
the Heartbreak Hotel. Got it.
yes,
Laying
correct.
across the sofa. Okay.
When said show had ended, and as we always did, we talked about the show, right? Uh, I then said, something as if I didn't like what happened and what have you. Uh, the person obviously did not like. I didn't like the fact of what I said, and it blew up to a whole screaming match in the studio, and it was screaming and yelling and carrying on into the studio. Which then, because we did not want to go to fisticuff in the studio, ended up walking out on the show, right? And I went outside. Random came outside after, to find out if I was okay, right? Because obviously a lot of screaming, yelling, and cursing.
Which he thought I was being a mole and stirring the pot. But go ahead. Tell us if you're gonna tell a story. Tell it.
Okay, so
Tell it right.
you know what? I'll say this. I didn't know whose side you were on. Okay, let me say that. I did not know whose side you were on because because obviously at that time we were just building our friendship, so I had no idea, if you were team the other person.
Hmm.
And at which point the person came outside and wanted to continue the argument on the street, and what have you. So Dee's giving a look like, damn, I never knew all this happened.
I did.
So to be funny that you would mention the mega powers because this is the Cam and Sour Diesel because I was like an outsider looking at them. This happened, So said person is standing there. Do you remember when it was like WrestleMania 6 and Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior was fighting each other and they did the stare down in the ring and Ultimate Warrior had the one finger up like this to Hogan and they was seething and they was breathing and they were getting mad and they were getting, it was just like that. It was literally just like that. And one person in the situation, waved the white flag and was like, "Listen, brother, we what we gonna do? We ain't gonna be throwing hands. Let's agree to disagree." We went to have, I think, Mexican food. We went to a burger spot, right?
Yes.
We went to a burger spot on Fifth Avenue. In the summertime. It was in the summer. That's when I think we just finished filming either the Cream episode, Cash Rules Everything Around Me, Money in the Bank episode. And we went to go to what we do after every show is we decompress and we eat. We go eat somewhere. We have food. And we went to do that, and we thought said thing was done. But prior to that, it was another seed planted because we did a crossover episode. We crossed over with the other person's main show with the wrestling show. So we were there for a filming before we actually came there to film our actual show.
Right.
So we went out to eat and we thought everything was gravy. I thought everything was gravy. Masha, I think you check. I tag you back in this point because I don't remember the.
So we end up having a meeting of the minds moment, and we thought everything was going good. And then what was interesting was that was the second to last episode of the season, right? Because the season was coming to an end, so the following week was going to be the last episode, and which we ended up shooting that episode. And when we did, the energy was off. It was very off.
So it wasn't going to be the season finale. It's just that because we thought everything was smoothed over and it wasn't, I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to have to call an audible here, and I think we need to take a break and call it just the end of the season, and let's just try to regroup, maybe give people time off, let people's mind clear, let people get ready to get rejuvenated creatively, maybe we'll come back. It's just a misunderstanding. Lo and behold, and that was technically our first season, right?
Yeah.
Only one season. We were moving into the bigger, the badder, the bolder season 2. Part of the bigger and badder, the bolder.
Insert Cam, Masquerade Cam.
Right, that's where the story is now going. Well, technically, it was supposed to be Sour Diesel was supposed to come on permanent. Like if everybody got along, I was already introducing Sour Diesel to come in as like. We were going to talk about big guys. We're also going to come to this show and talk about the difference of big guys in wrestling, like The Undertaker, Kane, Great Khali, so on and so forth. And I was like, since Sour Diesel is actually tall and he has, expertise when it comes to wrestling, he was already in talks of being brought in, nothing permanent. Right. So now we go to the season premiere. Now, the week of the season premiere,
I think D had something to say.
You had a question?
Oh, because how I felt about.
Also, you wasn't a fan of
the person,
that other person, right? That was on on the level that, and I understood that, but I didn't want to bring, add more wood to the fire, so to speak.
But as CM Punk said, I can separate business from personal. Cody, can you?
And I don't know if the other person could.
And I'm gonna throw the question now to my good friend Masquerade Cam. What was your introduction to the last show?
Brandon hit me up, was like, hey, we see that you kind of like are a fan of the show. I was interactive with because he was promoting. I like podcasts and I like wrestling. I was getting into wrestling podcasting as a fan or whatever, and I was making comments on the pages. So he was like, "Do you want to come be a guest?" I was like, "Oh, that's great!" Like my ears perked up. I was like, "Oh, it's not me. Get to be a part of something and be on a podcast or whatever." I was like, "All right, cool." Then I think when I finally got that thing, I spoke to all of y'all on like a production call.
Right.
But then when I actually got to the show, I didn't get to meet you, Mash Out. right? Because you weren't there or whatever the case was. So then we recorded the show. We recorded more than one show, right, Brandon?
Three.
Did
We
show?
recorded
Three?
3 episodes.
3 episodes, right. So yeah, we did like a few episodes, but it wasn't all in one shot because I remember going there twice.
It was all in one shot.
It was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So originally what happened was we explained with Janelle from HR last week is that we wanted a stat guy, right? So Sour Diesel, I was bringing Sour Diesel in as an actual on-air personality, and then I was gonna have Cam as the stat guy. He would be the guy. As of like what he did today, when we're saying which Royal Rumble it is, he would say, actually, it was the this and this Royal Rumble. It was the that and that Royal Rumble. That's how I pitched it to John Cash. Oh, yo, the name was, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
you said the name.
We were
Oh,
trying.
I'm sorry. Oh, like
Yeah,
he's Chris
we
you
Benoit,
said
whatever.
Voldemort's
might have to
name.
edit. We might have to edit this. We might have to edit this one out. Good.
All right, with the guy. Ugh.
The dude.
With Jonathan Majors. Jonathan Majors. So what happened was the week of recording, I came into contact with someone who had COVID. So I got tested and was waiting for my results. It wasn't the rapid tests that are out now. So I had to wait a little bit longer. So I wasn't medically cleared. I didn't want to get my brother sick. So I wasn't medically cleared. You know,
Right.
I felt the wellness test. You know, I was Randy Orton in 07. You know, so I felt the wellness test. So I couldn't make it. It was up to Mr. Majors, who was supposed to contact everyone and make sure that everyone who's supposed to arrive for the season 3 premiere arrived for the season 3 premiere. So the morning of the recording, I text everyone like I would do any other show. I need to start doing that for this show. No, because we talk already. So I would text everyone, hey, I hope y'all have a great show today. I hope everything goes well. So I text Mash out, hey, great show today. Make sure you get there on time. Don't give, this person no reason to be nitpicking at what you're doing. I want to wish y'all good luck. Make sure everybody has the rundown of the show and has the script. So Mash out replies to me with, what show?
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, you're not aware that we're starting to kick off season 3? And in order for it to be the Headlocks and Chair Shot shows, you at least need the 2 actual hosts that are the actual host of the show there, right? Not one host, someone who's subbing, who we didn't even know was being auditioned to replace Mash Out. We didn't know that Cam was supposed to be the replacement to Mash Out. Sour Diesel was already being transitioned into the fold. With Cam's role, it was pitched to me that Cam, the other person, didn't want to work on the show with Mash Out, and that Cam would be in the spot. This is like the Temptation story, right?
Yeah.
Would be in the spot of Mash Out, which wasn't something that we all agreed on. That wasn't like, okay, yeah, we want to do that, because I wasn't team it. I'm gonna be honest, it was me. I was the one that was like, I'm not team that. I don't like that. I think the show is too new. We're still building the audience, and we shouldn't change any factors of the show. If anything, we should add to it and increase it, and that we should rotate the stat spot. It shouldn't be a replacement.
So
I felt like, so go ahead.
what was interesting about that week was I actually went to Chicago for a conference, but it also happened to be the same time that CM Punk premiered at AEW. So
Right.
I was supposed to be back Saturday morning, but I ended up staying till Monday, so I could go to State Arena, and which I think I spoke to you while I was in Chicago, baby. I called you.
You did. You was like, yo, I'm in Chicago. You did.
Yeah,
I remember we made a joke about that on air. It was like, he's away on business in Chicago, da 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 da. Because like they didn't they acknowledged your absence, but it wasn't like I was just the person, the innocent person that didn't know what was really going on. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. I was like, wow. I was actually quite impressed that you were like a correspondent at the event. And that's what I thought. That's how it was framed to me, that you was like a correspondent at the AEW event to kind of report back to what
No, that was just shade. That was just shading.
What we were trying to be kayfabe is because I didn't want any of what happened on Black Saturday, because I was already embarrassed that it happened, was to leak out on air. And as Mashout stated, before the season finale, I actually have the whole full video of not Black Saturday, but the episode that we recorded right after that, the season finale. And maybe one day when we're all together, maybe I'll put it up on the screen or something. And the energy was just horrible. It was just bad. No one's looking each other in the face. I'm kind of only having conversations with the other person. I'm only having conversations with Mashout. There's no real gel. So then now they have now recorded 3 episodes, which means for season 2, these 3 episodes are already there. I already did the episode description. They already have titles. They already have layouts. So it's already out there to the public. So season 2 started without Random Thoughts, without Mashout King. It was just He Who Remains Nameless and our special guest, Masquerade Cam.
Yes. Yes. So believe it or not, Cam, you were the argument that did the entire show.
Yeah,
Did you
that
know
is the truth.
You were the argument that ended the entire show. Masquerade Cam was the demise of Headlock and Champion.
No, you dropped the bombshell. I don't want to be the
He
demise.
dropped it on me too. Wow. Wow.
Oh,
So now
honey,
we're
I
injecting
see.
the Three Amigos with the same lethal poison. What the fuck?
So
Anyway,
so here's what happened, right?
give him premise.
So we had a call a few days later,
Mm-hmm.
like I would say a week later. So we listened to the show. Me and B listened to. No, I listened first.
Yes, you
All
did.
3 episodes, and then B said, "I'm not going to listen to them," and I said, "No, you have to listen to them." So he listened to the show. So Cam, this is no offense to you, but in the history of podcasts, those are the 3 worst episodes that me and B has ever heard in terms of anything. And the reason why is that there was because you were green at that time, you didn't know how to be able to go back and forth, right? With someone that has a very domineering personality, right? So you more acquiesce to the host,
Yeah,
as opposed to giving a back and forth. So we did our production call, and so it gets thrown out there. The person asks, "What do you think of the show?" And I said, "I thought it was terrible." And and Brandon said, "Yeah, I didn't like it neither." And then the person,
I said, I can't believe that those are 3 episodes that we actually put out on Spreaker like that represents our show after remember Sour Diesel, one of your favorite episodes was the Cream episode. You like the promo to it, you like what we were talking about with Money in the Bank. That's how it caught your eye. So that was the energy that I wanted us to always have, especially with it being season 2, the bigger and badder, bolder season. That was the theme. It was all over where we were promoting. That was the theme. And I just I didn't feel like it was bigger. I didn't think it was badder, and I didn't think it was bolder. And again, as Mashout said, it wasn't to Cam. You were new. You were a guest, basically, at a house, and you basically roamed around the house. Seems to be a recurring thing. But but you were a guest at a house, so I wasn't blaming you. I was blaming the conductor. I was blaming the person who had the control over everything, where the studio was at, who was the guest, how the conversation was. That's who I was blaming. So in that same conversation,
yep, that's true.
I think we were asked to vote if Cam was no. Wait, how did that? Was it a vote?
It came to, are we going to move forward with Cam, on the next episode? And me and you were saying no, not yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We were saying
no. Mine was an emphatic no. Remember, mine was an emphatic.
Yes,
Damn.
it was. It was. Yeah, but no, it was mostly like, and I said no because it didn't make sense.
Right.
Right? It just to me it didn't make sense because you brought Cam in at a time where Cam wasn't ready, right? Cam needed the help of people been doing this.
Support. He needed
I'm
more
saying
support. Yeah.
exactly. So I said to throw him to the wolves by bringing him in as another host would have made any sense. Well, Cam, you know what? The person loved you, Cam. They loved you. They fought heavily. They wanted to move heaven and earth to make sure you was a part of the show. And I didn't think that would have been fair to you. Honestly, I just didn't think that would have been fair to you, to make it be that you're now thrown into a situation that you didn't know anything about. Plus, it was heavy at that time. You know what I mean? So anything you would have heard shade, you would have received a lot of, there would have been a lot of arguments in front of you, things like that you wouldn't have deserved. You understand what I'm saying? So I mean, damn, this feels like a damn reality show we having. So, but yeah, there were a lot of things that happened at that time, which would have made you feel very uncomfortable, right? And I didn't think that, nor did Brandon, that was fair to you at that time. You know what I mean? You understand? Yes, no, maybe so.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you because like hearing all this now, I'm like, wow, that's a credible backstory dealings. I was like, yeah, I was just on it. Was like, all right, cool. I'm on a podcast. I'm having fun. I was telling everybody about it. But yeah, and then listening back to the episodes and comparing it to what was done before I got put on and to what we've been doing now. Yeah, it was a very green uh performance on my part.
Right. And you know what? And the thing was is that it was never, it was always about business, but unfortunately when the lines got crossed that it became personal,
Mhm.
that's when I said it was time for me to leave. Right?
Yeah,
So,
I was surprised that we did 3 episodes. Like that was just I was like, wow, that's a lot
well,
just for
because
somebody to do.
a part of it is that the person, right, because they did their other show and things like that, and that's how they recorded, they
Yeah.
believe we should have recorded the same exact way. But the things is that, obviously, as we know in professional wrestling, our show has to be live. It has to be innovative. It has to be weekly because things change on the fly every day, right? So we
Hmm.
can't. Could you imagine we recorded 4 episodes in one shot already
Yeah,
for the month?
and they were outdated.
Yeah, they
Because
were
we
out.
were able to talk about the current stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
People, you're not talking about Vince McMahon. You're not speaking about the Netflix deal. You're not talking about the Royal Rumble, whatever. Because then our official episode tape would be this Saturday coming for the following month. So that would have never have worked, right? So now, having said that, I chose to walk off the show. And and I'll say this: it hurt to make that decision to walk away from something that I created, right? Because the podcast initially was my idea. So for me to walk away from it, but because I believe in protecting my mental health, you know what I'm saying, and what have you, I just believe like I cannot work with people like this. Now, fast forward now to like almost 6 to 8 months later, where I spoke to Brandon, right? And I said to him, you know what? I want to do this again, right? And I know, obviously, he gave me his thoughts. He didn't want no shenanigans, nothing like that, and the stuff that was on the beginning on the Headlocks and
No,
Champ.
I didn't want to. At first, I didn't want to work with either one of you. I said after Black Saturday, professionally, I don't want to work with either one of you. I love you as a brother. I'll be your friend. We can go out to eat. We can talk wrestling. We can talk basketball. We can talk Premier League. I don't want to do a podcast. I don't want to do no business. And then he made a more viable. It wasn't like a pitch or nothing like that. It wasn't like a pitch deck or nothing like that. He was like, just listen. We were, I think at the time we were on the phone for like 3 hours just
Yeah,
talking straight up hip hop and wrestling. And he was like, my brother, this is the show right here. And I was like, oh, I see what you did there. That was kind of dope. How you got me to get involved and engage. As we know, I'm mouthful mighty. I talk a lot. So I was like, okay, boom. Now what are we gonna do with the show? I said, it's me and you here. What are we gonna do about adding a third person? At the time, me and Sour Diesel was already because we had watched that WrestleMania together. one of the 2-night WrestleMania. I think they was in Dallas or something. We had watched it all together, and we were already working on the Two Dudes with Attitude podcast. That's why he's Sour Diesel and I'm like the Heartbreak Kid. That's been us since forever, since we've known each other. That's why we too sweet each other when we see each other. We've been a clique. So that was the show we was initially working on. When Mashup came out with the idea, I said, "Oh, why don't we just mesh everything all together?" And he was like, "So who's this other guy?" And I was like, "Oh, he loves wrestling. He's very passionate about wrestling. It's his sport too. He has an interest in taking perspective on wrestling, and he's still a wrestler." I said he's still a wrestling fan who believes in wrestling. So I said something like that, right? It was in the that match. I was like, "All right, let's get him on the phone." So eventually we were able to get Sour Diesel on the phone, and everybody were brainstorming. And I think it started November of that year. We were trying to, like, before the new year came in, we were trying to launch, and then, you know, people's schedules, things were crazy. And then finally, I can't remember what the
we went to that hog show, and I think it was like in December.
Right. We went to the
22.
Hog Show, and then that's when y'all met in person, and we really was starting to get the ball rolling and talking about really doing the show. You know, you saw your energy, everything was seeming to not just meshing, but it was like it wasn't an issue. You know, we was all suffering, and people watching and listening. When you do entertainment and stuff like that, PTSD is real, and the feelings that you feel when you're about to do something that you love, but it had an experience attached to it. You're like, yo, I don't think I want to do this again. And I was hella nervous, but we got it together and then play. Y'all was there for that.
Yeah. But now hearing this story in full fledged, fellas, how you feel?
Wow, I mean, it's a very interesting story. It's incredible, to be honest. But like, kudos and big ups to both of y'all for like real recognized, real kind of situation. You know what I mean? Like being able to like build your own authentic bond, and then just bringing in other people. Like you put out positivity, it's just gonna attract other positive people. That's really what I really like about the story.
I feel like everything that overcomes it all is destiny, right? I was supposed to be on that other show. Cam was on that show, and now bring forward that we all come here, and we're here now doing the Amigos show, and to see your resiliency mash out. When you said like you didn't want to leave something that you helped build, but to see that you did leave it and you helped build something even greater is something within itself, and you have to, I feel like you have to applaud yourself. And you know, your real name is Andre, and I take that as Andre, Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre left Death Row. He said, "You can have this shit. Fuck that. I'm gonna go make my own shit." What he made, Aftermath. That's
Right.
I see that, and the aftermath of that is this.
Yeah, no, you know what? I agree. Like this formula that we have here is solid. It's built on a strong foundation. And anybody that's gonna watch, don't think we agree 1,000% of the time. We don't. I would say we. But the one thing I will say is that it's not coming to blows. You know what I'm saying?
It's safe disagreements.
It's safe disagreement. We're not meeting on sidewalks when the conversation don't go the way we want it to go. Okay, we're not doing that. You know what I'm saying?
You made fun of my family having COVID.
Let me just hit the end recorded button. Yeah.
How dare you make
and on
fun
that
of
note,
something like
everybody, thank you for tuning in to another half of the show. All right, keep remember to like, share, and subscribe. This is the greatest podcast team on earth, and we'll see you next week for this episode.
Wait, one more thing.
Yes.
On Saturday, we all got together and we We came together. We had brotherly love, and I just want to say also shout out to the catering at the Royal Rumble. It was top notch. It was wonderful, delicious food. That catering should be used all the time for our events.
We'll keep that in mind. All right. We'll be back next Sunday for a new edition of the Three Amigos podcast and the after show. We love you for watching. We'll see you next week. Remember to like, share.
D3A.
All right. Good night, folks.